I'm 27 years young. I actually live here in Cartersville, Georgia. My name is Deshon, and I have NMOSD. My hands were numbed. For example, if I wanted to write something, if I wanted to just, make a drawing or just write my name, write signatures, that's when my handwriting was sloppier. Like my hands just, it wouldn't work with me. That's when I noticed that I was walking, not a little bit, a lot stiff, to where it was hard for me to just go to the restroom, go to the bathroom. It was to where I had to use my mother's walker. I couldn't even just specifically get up off my bed. Not a lot of people actually understand just how bad that made me feel.
You don't have a 27-year-old healthy guy with no other, medical problems that starts having difficulty walking. And I think his symptoms actually started in December. I didn't see him until February. When he came that day to the visit, he really should have been in a wheelchair. He really shouldn't have been walking. He was unable to control his bowels or his bladder, and he couldn't see. His memory and his cognition was way off. What started with what he explains is just a numbness or a weird feeling in his legs to end up having all those other symptoms and all those other, not systems, but all those other effects on different parts of his body, the vision, the bladder, the bowel, the spasticity, the cognition, the memory. It was extraordinary.
Thinking about this disease when a patient walks in with painful blurring of vision, when a patient walks in with a transverse myelitis and they have weak or numb legs, we must have this in our differential diagnosis.
Right from the jump, she knew just what I was going through.
He went from a healthy 27-year-old to being completely debilitated.
It was just a tough road, a tough situation. The pain was very, very deep to where it just hurt me not only physically, but emotionally as well. I felt very, very defeated.
If you do that antibody test and it's positive, you have made a diagnosis for that patient that will result initially in significant stress for the patient, but long-term will allow us to get early treatment.
Lucky for Deshon, it was, he did have a positive AQP4 antibodies, which allowed us to make a definitive diagnosis of NMO, and then the race was on to get him on treatment.
So when we talk about the treatment of patients with NMOSD, I think we need to think about two things. The first thing is, how do we treat the acute attack? That acute attack of inflammation of the optic nerve, or that acute attack of inflammation of the spinal cord. The second important approach to treatment of NMOSD is really help that patient live as normal a life as possible. So I think we've made great headway in terms of moving NMOSD from a disorder that kind of fell within the MS spectrum to a disease that has its own defined immunopathology. It's a distinct entity. It now has its own kind of treatment regimen. So the discovery of that biomarker allowed us to rapidly move towards understanding mechanism, towards identifying target, to a point where we are at a much different place than we were 20 years ago when I started working on this disease. Remember, these attacks that patients with NMOSD have are very severe. They can be very disabling. So we're in a much, much better place. We're in a very, very exciting place for patients.
So all of this white that's showing up here, that's all abnormal. I am not too proud to beg, and so I reach out to everyone that I know to really treat his symptoms. He needed to get on a treatment for NMO, and we did that.
I know the story from the beginning with Deshon, the effort she put in, the number of people she brought into the circle.
I had a patient who has a social network of friends who were looking to make a donation or looking to do something special. Wanted to know if we had a patient who maybe needed some help, and it was at the exact time when this was going on with Deshon.
Good to see you in person again.
Good to see you too. God bless y'all. God bless.
So, and I think they have become a support system for him to this day.
Stacy, always just so willing to just help someone in need.
Connecting his medical care, his financial needs, his emotional needs, his support and cheerleading needs.
It's just, yeah, like you said, yes, it's a tough difference. I'm very appreciated, and there's just a lot of just beautiful, sweet lives out there that really cares a lot about me and cares about how I feel, and that's just something that I'm always gonna think about for the rest of my life. It gives me confidence to just get me back on my feet.
It's remarkable, and it's refreshing, I think, in today's society to see so many people who care about this young man who could have been completely disabled.
We are blessed to be part of the journey.